Hi Jay, thanks a lot for keeping the class open for me. I can see Anshuman, Ashwini, Dhruv Jadhav, Faiz, Mittal, Nidhi Gupta, Nidhi Nevar, P. Suresh, Padmavati S. Bhatt, Pramila, Prema Lakshmi, Ranjan Hegde, Satya Nayak, Saurabh, Shaili Seth, Shalini Y, Shamita, Shraddha, Shri, Shreya Shah, Shweta Tripathi, Vidisha, Vimal, Yashna. If I didn't call out your name, it's because I can't see it. So please do go into settings and put in your name. We'll get started with this special session. This session will go on till 10 p.m. I'll also take questions, but my request is if you can keep the questions till the end, that will be very helpful because then it will not break the flow from the class. I've got some videos as well that I would like all of you to be able to see. Okay, I can't do anything, Ashwini. This is the third connection that I'm trying. I'm going to speak really slowly. Can most of you hear me? Yeah, okay. So, in addition to this, if you still want it to be better, you'll need to speak to the tech support because the it's possible that the issues are at your end. So, you can call the tech support number at 808103333. The number is on the top right of every slide. So, I can't do anything beyond this. I'm on a connection. But if you still can't hear me, then I think the connection is weak at your end as well. So my suggestion is please call them and they'll help you get on with this. Okay. All right. So let's get started with blogging for beginners. My name is Ramya Pandyan. This is me. I have been working for over 15 years. I'm an MBA. In the past I've worked for companies like Deloitte Touche Tomatsu and the Nielsen Basis company as a business consultant. I've also written freelance for publications like Femina and Marie Claire. I've set up the content team for an agency called Social Wavelength, which is today one of India's biggest social media agencies. It's a JW Thompson company today. I've also consulted for a digital startup called Price Baba. I've contributed over 50 blog posts to Yahoo's microsite for Dove. I've also blogged for Asian Paints internal teams for over 2 years, and these blog posts have been converted into a book as well. My journey in blogging began in 2004. Uh, my audio is on. Can all of you hear me? Thank you. Okay, so my journey in blogging began in 2004. So I've been blogging since then, which makes me one of India's earliest bloggers. Not the first, but definitely one of the earliest, and one of the few still blogging. I've had a chance to, privilege really, to see the space shape up, and this medium is a wonderful one. It's come a really long way since we started back in the day, and there's so much possible today, which is why the Digital Vidya team thought that all of you participants of the CDMM program should be given a chance to understand what blogging is and how it can help you. So, just to make it absolutely clear, this is a beginner's course. This is completely a very basic course. In case you're completely new, you don't know anything about blogging, then this would be a good session to sit in on, because I'm going to start by addressing what is a blog, what blogging terms mean. Some of the common blogging terms you may have heard, like readers, comments, followers, template, sidebar, all of these. We'll also talk about how you can get started blogging, and I have some tips for the newcomers to this space. So let's start by thinking about what is a blog. This term blog came about sometime in the late 90s, turn of the millennium. There were a lot of people. The internet was a very, very different place then. So there were a lot of people who were setting up their own websites, the ones who knew programming. GeoCities was a very popular platform at that time. So people would set up their websites, and put up whatever they wanted to on them. And one such gentleman was a man named John Barger. That's him. And John's website was called John's Weblog. Now, a log is a journal that a ship captain maintains, which states where the ship went, how the weather was, how far they went on any single day. So, what John was doing was surfing the internet every day, and he would put up links to websites that he found really interesting. Remember that this was way before there was Facebook, Twitter, or even Google. So, how did people discover websites? They heard about it from each other, that is, in the real world, or if they found one website, that website might tell them five other websites they could go to. That's how the internet was shaped in its early days. So that's how it started. John had a website that he called John's Weblog, where he would post daily links that interested him, that he found really good, which he wanted to share with the people who visited his website. And from this, the weblog became one word called, well, weblog, and from that got shortened to the term blog. So, a blog today would be an online property with constantly updated content, usually, not necessarily, but usually showing the most recent entries first. Yeah, I'll give you a minute to read that. Okay, so think of what a blog is today. Any online property where the content constantly keeps getting updated. Now, this is one big difference between a blog and a website. A website is typically something that gets built and stays the same for months and months, sometimes even years on end. On the other hand, a blog is something that's getting updated almost every day, if not every day, then at least once or twice a week. And the way it's arranged is usually the most recent entry. So if I blog something today, that'll show at the very top rather than at the bottom of the page. Blogs also have a few other features. Blogs brought in something called self publishing. Before the internet, if you wanted to take your message out or your opinion, your thoughts out to the world, you would need to contact a publisher. So, who was a publisher? A publisher was one central entity who had the power to put out media, put out information via media. Television channels were publishers, radio stations were publishers, magazines were publishers, book publishers were again publishers. So you or I couldn't just share our message with the whole world. We had to go through a channel like a publisher. But the internet made it possible for every single one of us to become a publisher. And with a blog, you don't need a publisher outside yourself that will determine whether your content is worth sharing with the rest of the world or not. You can publish it yourself. Blogs are usually original content. That means they're not just what you've seen somewhere. I know I started off by saying that John Barger was sharing links to what he saw, but even then he was sharing his own opinions on what were good sites to visit. So original content is one of the big features of blogs. And finally, blogs are interactive. Now, with a magazine or a television show, it goes on air or it gets published. The readers or the viewers watch it, read it, and then it's done. They can't really say anything back to the person who created that content. But with a blog, I put out my thoughts, and you can tell me almost instantly whether you agree or disagree and whether you have any thoughts back. Which means that a blog is a part of a larger conversation. Blogs actually invite conversations, and this is super important because it means that not only are all of us able to publish our own content now, we are also at a democratic stage where everyone's opinions can get heard. So if someone else disagrees with me, their opinion also has as much right to exist on the space as mine does with my blog post, right? So let's look at what goes into making a blog. Opinions, that's one of the first things that blogs started off with. The internet started off with people sharing their own thoughts and ideas. The internet was not built on people who are experts. Of course, the internet, the technology itself was built by people who are experts, But all the sites, everything that you see that's come to a really great place today. How many of you have seen The Social Network, the movie The Social Network? You have, right? One of the internet's biggest sites, Facebook, started off by a college student who was just playing around. He was just tinkering around with something, right? At least that part of the story is true. The rest we don't know. That part, the movie completely is factually correct. Most of the other major platforms on the internet also started off that way. It started off with people just putting up whatever, playing, figuring out what they were doing, how it could be used. It didn't start off with people saying these are the rules of the medium. And what's the first thing that everyone has? All of us have. That's an opinion. All of us have opinions. So, one of the first things to go up on blogs were people's opinions. Lists also appear on blogs. There's one blog that has turned into a massive media company, and their success formula has been to put up lists, blogs that are in the form of lists. Any guesses? Can anyone think of which company? I'm sure all of you know this also. You would have read the lists on their blog. Huffington Post was one of them, but the one I was thinking of was BuzzFeed. Everybody knows BuzzFeed, right? BuzzFeed is a multi-million dollar business today. And BuzzFeed's success formula, they caught their popularity by posting lists. Top 10 movies of 2016. That's a really simple list. 10 times when Kajol completely proved that she was the best actress in Bollywood. Exactly. Now, viral content is just a term. Viral content is just any content that goes viral, that spreads almost like an infection. Lists did very, very well because people really like lists. We still love lists. The internet loves lists. So, lists are a great thing to put up. Scoop has just copied the BuzzFeed model. Scoop came up several years later. It's an Indian counterpart to BuzzFeed. So, all of these working on that premise of lists being really, really popular and easy to make as well. Reviews. Reviews are a very specialized form of an opinion. So, reviews are, again, reviews about anything. Review is an opinion, right? So, what are some things that you could post reviews about? The movie that you saw, the restaurant that you went to, a song that you heard, a book that you read. All of these are things that have a place in blogs. News. The medium has evolved so much now that blogs actually compete with traditional media to be news providers. BuzzFeed actually reports news now, and so does Huffington Post. And a number of others, which started as blogs, are today news carriers. And why have they become so important to the news field? Because blogs are up to date and up to the minute. The around the time when the internet came about, the world was getting very fed up of traditional publications because they had all the power, which means it was hard to believe news that was printed by publications because who knows, maybe if a brand is deciding to advertise a lot with them, they will not report news that presents the brand unfavorably, or they will present the news that helps the brands, those brands that advertise with them. But with a blog, blogs are anonymous. Well, not necessarily anonymous, but they're scattered and they're small, which means it's very, very difficult to play around with what the actual news is. Exactly. It's up to date, plus, it's likely to be a lot less biased. Blogs are used for announcements. For the same reason, they're really quick and real time. They're also used to issue invitations now because so many people flock to blogs. Blogs have become the starting points of communities online. And finally, comments. Comments are as important a part of blogs as the content that you put up on them. A blogger's favorite thing about blogging is the comments. So if a blogger says, I got 10,000 comments on my blog, that means they're actually boasting because they're very, very happy. That's like saying, I earned $10 million. Dollars. Because if you're getting comments, it means that people are really liking what you're saying. They're reading it. Whether they agree or disagree doesn't matter, but they care enough to read because the internet is full of so much content today. If a person is choosing to read your blog rather than go to the millions of other blogs and sites and videos and whatnot on the internet, that means that they're really engaged with what you're saying on a blog. So let's come to How do you get started with a blog? And let me take you through a video on this. This is a short video.
I forgot to tell you. Do you know what Annabelle's doing now? Sarah told me. A blog.
Of what?
What do you mean of what? A blog of Annabelle. Of every thought that passes through her brain. Her stupid, vapid, insipid. I could write a blog. I have thoughts.
And you're a writer, which is more than I can say for Annabelle.
If only that were true.
You wrote a novel.
Have a novel. And no one wanted to publish it. You're not a writer unless someone publishes you.
See, that's what's so great about blogs. You don't have to be published. You can just go online, press enter, and there it is, out there.
What would I write a blog about? You're an editor. Tell me.
Why don't you write about how much you love Queens?
A short blog.
Mhm. Write about your job.
If I wrote a blog about my job and anyone at work ever read it, I mean, hello.
Good. Mhm. This is
On
really
top of which, the whole idea of writing a blog is to get away from what I do all day. The way that cooking is a way that I get away from what I do all day.
So, write a blog about cooking.
I'm not a real cook like Julia Child or Mario Batali.
Julia Child wasn't always Julia Child.
That last line was actually Julia Child wasn't always Julia Child. Now, this conversation I find really interesting. There was a lady called Julie Powell who started a blog about more than a decade ago. Julie Powell was just a regular person with a very boring job, and she started a blog about cooking. And that blog went on to become so popular that she managed to publish a book based on the blog, and that book was turned into a movie as well. This scene is an excerpt from that movie. So, this character is supposed to be Julie Powell, and that's exactly how it happened. This is a movie called Julie and Julia. It's a true story. So, Julie Powell has gone on to become a media person. She has a published book, there's a movie based on, there's a famous Hollywood movie, and it was a hit as well, based on her life story. And all that started with a blog. So, I think this is something that's quite inspiring to anyone who's interested in blogs. So, what can you do to get started with blogs? First thing to do is think about what are you interested in. How many of you think I'm not an expert in anything, so what can I say that people will be interested in? How many of you are thinking that? Okay, can I tell you a secret? I started in 2004 when I was freshly out of college. I was not an expert in anything, and I was not even a topper or anything in college, so I was literally not an expert in anything. I'm considered a youth influencer today. How did that happen? Because the things that I wrote about and I still write about are things that I am an expert in. And you know what that is? I'm an expert in being Ramya Pandyan. I am the world's leading expert in being me and what my life is like and what my opinions are like and what my hobbies are like. I know that sounds really funny, but the truth of the matter is that's what I started writing about. I started writing about what it was like to start work, how it was disillusioning. I live in Mumbai, so how it's very, very, there's a lot of angst in the city. We get so little time to breathe, really, outside of work. But how people in Mumbai also learn to find time for things that really interest them. Maybe there's a street dog on the road that comes and follows you every day when you go to work. I wrote about things like that. I still do. And somehow that resonated because I was writing about a regular person's life. And most people who are on the internet are regular people. That's exactly what worked for Julie Powell as well. What Julie Powell did is, like that scene says, she says, I'm not an expert in anything. I'm not even a real cook like Julia Child. And her husband says Julia Child didn't start off being Julia Child. Julia Child is a very famous chef in the US who's written a number of books, cookery books. So, what Julie Powell did is she took one of Julia Child's books and said, every day I will try out one recipe from this book and I will blog about it. And that's all she did. And the blog even contained things like, I have never eaten eggs before, and I'm really scared to cook things that have eggs in them. Or I tried cooking lobster and I was so scared I dropped the pan, and I'm really tired and I've given up on the recipe. Now these are real people, real stories, and we all relate to things like these. So, this is really what drives a blog. A blog is not driven by being an expert in something. So, let's start off by thinking. Think about what are some things that you are interested in. So, Anshuman, this is not a movie review. This is related to what I have to say. So, I can't not share that. Okay. So this movie has been around for more than 10 years. So not 10 years, but it's been around for a good 7 8 years at least. So I think it's quite fair for me to be using this. This is not a fiction story. This is a true story. Think about what you're interested in. What are the things that you think about often? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What are some things that you read a lot? What are some websites you visit? What are the things that you are watching? What are some things that you have strong opinions on? Religion, politics, the economy, world travel, food. All of us have an opinion on something, right? Even the gentlest, most introverted person has a strong opinion on something. It may not be on things like religion and politics, but everyone has an opinion on something, right? Yes or no? Yeah? How about you tell me some things that you have an opinion on? Give me one example of something that you have a strong opinion on. You don't have to share the opinion, just tell me one thing that you feel very strongly about. Music. Okay, so Yashna is very passionate about music. Nidhi is about food. Vimal likes politics. Shri likes fashion, books, movies. Absolutely. I have very strong opinions on Mumbai. So they don't even have to be very sensible things. Okay, Nidhi is saying all Nidhis like food. Possibly, a lot of us like food, right? Indian history, right? And you should assume that if you are interested in it, there are 7 billion people on the planet, of which more than half are connected to the internet. It's fair to say that if you're interested in something, there'll be somebody else on the planet who is interested in that. So don't worry about who is going to read, who's going to watch what I have to say, who's interested in what I have to say. Think about what it is you want to say and put that out there on a blog, because now you have an option to do that. Do you want to do an activity? It'll make it a little more fun. Yeah? Okay. So let's take 10 minutes on this. Here's what you can do. Step one is for you to think of three things that you like to talk about, or three things that you have an opinion about. And each of these things, boil it down to a word. Ideally, get a sheet of paper. Don't do this on a Microsoft Word document. Do it on a sheet of paper. You can take 10 seconds and get a sheet of paper right now. And put down these three things, like one, write one over here, two over here, three over here. Put it in a triangle shape. One word to describe each of these three things that you're interested in. Things like what you just told me right now: history, fashion, politics, food, money, city, relationships, Valentine's Day, health, sports, cricket, Ranbir Kapoor, whatever it is that you like to think about, talk about. You just need three. Are you done? Are we done with that? Okay, so the nidhis are done. Now, step two. From each of these three words, draw out three lines. Okay? And what you're going to do is each word, what is coming to your mind when you think of that? So, let's say a word that you wrote down was Bollywood. When I hear Bollywood, I think Shah Rukh Khan, I think music, and I think Mumbai. That's just me. So, from each of those three words that you put down, draw three lines And at the end of each of those lines, put down a word that relates to this base idea. Can you hear me? I think my connection fluctuated. Okay, take a minute, do that. Okay, are we done? So, right now, the first three words that you wrote, those are called your root ideas. The nine, you should have nine words around those. Those are your branch ideas. Now, we are going to repeat this process one more time. So, at the end of each of these nine, you're going to draw three more and write one word each related to each branch idea. And I'm calling them STEM ideas. Done? Now, this is what I like to call your idea map. Take a look at this. There should be 27 words on it, right? No, not 27. You should have 27 plus 9, that's 36, plus another 3. So 39. You should have 39 words on it. Does everyone have 39 words? Some of these may even overlap, and it's okay if they do. Some of them may be very similar. Okay, take another minute and finish it. Let me know when you're done. Okay, so 39 words, at least 30 words, right? These 30 words represent ideas that are floating in your mind right now. You came up with 30 ideas in less than 5 minutes, in 3 4 minutes. Each of these are things that you care about, ideas that you care about, ideas that you have some opinion about, ideas that you know something about. Each of these can turn into a blog idea, into a blog post. Okay, so keep this handy and keep doing this exercise again and again. Each time you want to revamp your ideas, what you do is go and look at the STEM ideas. Once you exhaust those, go back to the branches and see whether you can add. Okay, one of you has unmuted yourself. Please don't do that because it loads the internet connection. There are 35 people in the class. Uh, our connections will destabilize if everyone talks. Yeah. So, what you do is periodically go back to your branch ideas and add more STEM ideas. You can also go back to your root ideas and add even more root ideas. Clear? And as you keep going on, every day will give you even more ideas. My experience has been that once you start blogging, ideas are just all around you. You'll start looking for things that you can blog about. And once you have ideas you can blog about, how can you actually depict them on your blog? You can use all of these. You can use words, text, images, cartoons, quotes, links, videos. The world is your playground. And a blog is that platform on which you can put all of these, express your ideas in all these ways. These are some of the most popular platforms available today. Now, you probably heard of Blogger. Blogger is a Google product. If you have a Google account at all, you will have a Blogger account. Blogger and WordPress are the two most popular and the most advanced blogging platforms available today. Since you're all newbie bloggers, I want to get you started off by showing you a platform called Medium. Medium is www.medium.com. Now, Medium is wonderful for one reason, and that's that it doesn't need a sign up. Medium.com lets you sign in using your Twitter or your Google or your Facebook account. And once you've signed in, this is what Medium.com looks like. This is my Medium profile. And when I want to create a post, I say write a story. And right here, I can start writing. Let's say I want to write about Shah Rukh Khan movies that stayed with me. And I start typing out my post here. This is the title. And I say, I was a teenager when I saw DDLJ. Since then, the King Khan has made many films. These are my favorites. And there I start listing out all the ones. Kabhi Khushi, Kabhi Gham. And then I can format it as well. I just select this and let's say I put it in italics. And then something else. Let's say Dilwale. And then again, select it and put it in italics. And once I'm done with this, I just go here and say publish. I'm not going to publish this. This is just a demonstration. But it's really as easy as that. If I want to add pictures, I can just click on this plus and pick up a picture from my desktop. Clear? It's that easy to run a blog. Let me get out of this and show you what kind of blog posts I've already put up on Medium. So here's a book review. I've called it Book Review Looking for Alaska. Here's a picture of the book and here's the name of the book and the author. And here's my rating and my review of the book. So Medium is a really, really nice platform because it's really easy to use. You can also discover other blogs that are just like yours on Medium, and Medium does all the marketing for you. So if your content is good, if your blog posts are really good, your posts will show up on other people's feeds when they log into medium.com. So I highly recommend trying out Medium. You can also watch this if you want to get into setting up Medium. So here's a video for you to watch later, not right now. Do click on the link and keep it open so you can visit it later. Okay. The second platform is one called Tumblr. Tumblr is also really, really popular among newbie bloggers. Tumblr is spelled TUMBLR. And here's my Tumblr blog. Tumblr requires you to sign up with an email address and then it will send you a mail saying verify your account. Once you sign in with that account, this is what your dashboard looks like. Tumblr gives you suggestions of other people's blogs as well. In addition to that, it tells you which of these kinds of content you want to post. Can all of you see my screen? Can you see my Tumblr window? So Tumblr gives me a dashboard from which I can actually decide which kind of content I want to put up. Do I just want to put up a picture? Do I want to put up a code? Do I want to share a link? Do I want to write a lot of text? I click on this and it'll open up text accordingly. So I say, these are my favorite Shah Rukh Khan films, and so on and so forth. Clear? And then I just say post and that will go up to my Tumblr blog. This is what my Tumblr blog is. So you can see how it's really, really easy to get started on a blog. That's me as well. That's me and that's my friend. These are my friends. Right? So you can see I put up pictures of my friends. I put up a book review, a picture of this rose that came up in my garden, some poetry that I've written. All of these count as blog content. Here's something else for you to watch. If you want a little help with setting up Tumblr, you can watch this video. So don't watch these right now. Just click on these links and keep them open so that you can watch them later. Has everyone got the links? Because this chat window will vanish once the webinar gets over. Yeah? So I strongly suggest if today's session interests you enough to want to get started on blogging, pick one of these two platforms, Medium or Tumblr. Don't go with Blogger or WordPress. Blogger and WordPress are fantastic, but they have very advanced features, and you might find yourself getting confused in things that are not necessary. When you get started on a blog, yes, you should. You should, but it's really easy to move from one platform to another. So when you're getting started on blogs, the important thing is not how many features you have and how cool it looks. The important thing is what your content has to say. And if you want to get good at that, practice is the only thing that makes you good at that. You'll get readers over time. So Medium or Tumblr really make it very basic, and they don't distract you with too many things. Medium and Tumblr, both excellent platforms to get started on. Also consider these platforms. Remember what I said about the definition of a blog? It's an online property. Both of them are, Yashna. I've shown you both of them. You can decide which one works better for you. So, in addition to text based blogs, think about my definition. A blog is an online property with constantly updated content, right? Original content. Instagram could be considered picture blogging. Twitter is called microblogging because Twitter lets you put up your own content as long as it's within 140 characters. YouTube is video blogging or vlogging. Vine allows you to put up 6-second videos. Snapchat allows you to share pictures for a limited amount of time. Snapchat stories allow you to run a story through pictures that stay for 24 hours. Wouldn't you agree all of these are also forms of blogging? Right? So, if any of you are feeling like words are not your strong suit, you're more comfortable with maybe pictures, there are platforms for you as well. So, if you really are into photography, for instance, Instagram is a great tool for you. Flickr, if you're using really high resolution, high definition those DSLR cameras, then Flickr is a fantastic platform for you. You could count that as blogging as well because it's original content and you're making sure to update it frequently. If you Blog is content, Shri. A blog is an online property that has constantly updated content, and content takes multiple forms. Content is not limited to only text. Back in 2004 when I started, technology was not so advanced. There weren't smartphones, internet connections were not that great, so we started with text blogging. And I'm a writer, so I really like writing. But Instagram, YouTube, all of these came up later. Instagram came up sometime around, I think, 2006. Twitter came up sometime around 2007 or so. Vine came up in the last 5-6 years. Snapchat also came up in the last 6-7 years. YouTube, of course, all of you know. And YouTube now belongs to Google. Instagram belongs to Facebook. All of these also have video. Not video. All of these have really easy to use phone app versions also. So you can run your entire content from your phone itself. And that includes creating the content, editing the content, and publishing the content. In case any of you are new to Instagram, I can show you my own Instagram account. I'm not on Vine or Snapchat, but this is my Instagram account. So you can see it's more than just pictures. I am a writer, so I even put up my poems with a little picture there to draw attention, draw readers. It's content, right? So use your content, express your ideas, use all the platforms to express your ideas in whatever way suits the content best. Don't go with trying to say, I want to be on this platform. Rather, think about what are the things that you really want to talk about, and then choose the platforms that fit you the best. Let's look at some terms about blogging. Let's look at the actual anatomy of a blog. This is a screenshot from my Tumblr blog taken quite a while ago. This blog. So the first thing about a blog is that every blog has its own unique address. A blog is an online property, right? All of you know that even your Facebook profiles have unique Facebook profile addresses. They're all facebook.com/ something something something. Similarly, your blog will have to have a unique address. When you are setting up your blog, your text blog that is, that's on Tumblr or Medium or Blogspot or WordPress, you will be given a chance to choose that URL, that address. Now, the address you want may not be available. You'll need to choose something that's available, but pick this carefully because this is a lot like an email address. I'm guessing most of you are over 15. Is there anyone here in the class who's under 15? No, right? So, all of you know it's a bad idea to choose an email address that has too many numbers in it, or that sounds very stupid or silly. It has to be distinctive. Choosing a blog address is a lot like that. Pick something that says something about you or about what your blog is going to be about. My online identity is Idea Smith. I call myself Idea Smith. When I started blogging, I was anonymous, so that was my pen name. So, an Idea Smith is a blacksmith, is someone who works with iron. An Idea Smith is someone who works with ideas. And a blacksmith's workshop is called a blacksmithy. So my blog was called the Idea Smithy. So that was my reasoning behind calling it Idea Smithy. So try and think of something creative like that, that says something about you and that is distinctive. Thank you. So I was also lucky. I was early on there. I don't think these kind of words would be easily available today. There are a lot of more people now. So when you choose one of these platforms like Medium or WordPress or Blogspot or Tumblr, you get what is called a free blog. You can also run a blog on a website where you're paying for hosting and you can run ads and things like that. But if you're using one of these platforms, you don't have to pay anything for it. You just sign up for free. But that means that the address also, firstly, you are subject to their terms and conditions. So, for example, you cannot run any ads on a WordPress blog or on a Tumblr blog or on a Medium blog. You can run ads on the Blogspot blog, but I think at this juncture, you should not think about running ads. Think about the content. The second thing is when you use a free account, a free blogging account, the address that you choose, you only get to determine the first half of it. After that, it'll be whatever you choose .tumblr.com or whatever you choose .wordpress.com, whatever your domain is uh, blogspot.com. Yes, Ashwini, this is all my own published blog. If I had hit publish over here, if I say post over here, it will appear on the blog. I'm not going to do that because this is a demo and I like to put up content that I've worked on. But all of these are published by me. Okay, so Vikram, we'll take questions at the end, okay? We are not going to disrupt the class. Length of a blog, yes, it does matter, but there is no set word count. If you're using Twitter, then of course you have a 140 character limit. If you're using Instagram, then your pictures have to be in that particular square shape or in that rectangular shape that Instagram can pick up. And you can post only one picture at a time. You can't post several pictures together on the Instagram account. You don't have any such conditions with a text-based blog like Tumblr, Medium, or WordPress or Blogspot. But ideally, if it's online, if it's digital, try and keep it as short as possible because people on the internet have very short attention spans. So if you're don't put up an entire novel on a blog. That's just a bad idea. So if you look at any of the blog posts I have up here, now this is a picture and I put the title and I put some tags over here. If you look at this, this is a book review. If I click on this, you'll open the post. And you can see the post is not very long. Okay, this is a rather long post, but it's also looking that long because there's only this much of space being used. The rest of the space on the blog is being used by the sidebar. Don't worry too much about the length of the blog at the moment. You'll typically find if you're not used to writing, you'll find it very difficult to write anything more than, say, 1,000 words. 1,000 words will come to about 1.5 screens if you fill up the entire screen. Okay, and that's actually okay length for a blog post. So the address is the first thing. The second thing is the title of the blog. Keep your title also distinctive. Don't be generic. Don't be just very general. Your title goes a long way in optimizing your blog for Google searches. How many of you have already completed the SEO module? Any of you here? Yeah, you have, right? So you know this, right? Exactly. So the title is your identity and also it helps your SEO. We are not going to talk about how to market your blog today, but when you're writing, when you're creating your blog, remember that you do want readers and viewers to come in, right? So the titles that you put in will help search engines to send readers to your blog faster and more easily. Each entry on a blog is called a blog post. So it's wrong to say I have many blogs. If you set up one Tumblr blog, you have one blog with many blog posts. I'm going to open the Tumblr blog again now. So every single entry that you put up is called a blog post. Okay, so each of these is a blog post. But this whole thing, ideasmithy.tumblr.com, is a blog. And you can see the chronological order is being followed even here. In this case, the layout is such that all of this, so the minute I put up a new post, this picture will move here, this picture will move here, this picture will move to the next line, and so on and so forth. And my new post will appear on the top left. So it's going from left to right and top to bottom. The most recent one will come in the top left. Whereas my other blog, that is this one follows a very linear format where the topmost post is the most recent one. So this one was posted on February 6th. If you scroll down, you'll see this one was posted on January 30th, and so on. Different blogs, different layouts, that's all. There's a search bar that you can include in your blog because think about this, as you keep writing more and more, let's say someone comes to your blog and really likes something you've written. So, for example, look at the screenshot. I took the screenshot almost a year ago. And in this, the top left, that means the most recent post at that time, said paper plane, my signature piece. But if you go to my blog today, this has something else here. So, how are you going to go and find that particular post? You have to keep scrolling next, next, next. No. You can just give your reader an option to search by saying paper plane. The blog post said something about a paper plane. And here it pulls out everything on my blog that mentions the phrase paper plane. So if I scroll down right here, 66 weeks ago, I posted this. 66 weeks ago, I posted this 1 year, which was a video with some caption on it. So it's that easy you make it that easy for the reader to retrieve your content. And remember this, when you are the blogger, you need to make it as welcoming and as easy for your reader as possible. Because your reader is really doing you a favor, it's a big privilege to have people come and read your blog or follow your pictures. So you want to make it as welcoming and as easy for them to access your content as possible. Use the search bar because it really, really helps you draw attention to your old content as well. I want to talk about something called pages. So let me go back to the Tumblr blog again. Now, you know that a blog's content is constantly getting updated, right? So 1 month later, if you come to this blog, you'll not see this person's photo here. You'll see something else there. What about if there's some content that I want to keep available at all points of time? Let's say like someone wants to know how to contact me. Now that's content that I want it appearing on the blog at all points of time. I don't want that my readers have to go searching for it somewhere, right? So I can create what is called a page. Here's a page over here. A page is static content. So this page has a dialog box where people can write me a note. There's another page that says about me. which has my profile, my background. And this page is going to be there no matter what time of the day, whatever month, whenever you come, it'll still say about me and it'll have the same material on it. So, right here, a year ago also there was the about me section, and today also the about me section is still there. Clear? So, blogs allow you to create both static and dynamic content. Are we clear on this? Yeah? Okay. A few more things. Now, this is my WordPress blog. This one. So, WordPress, remember, I told you, okay, let me show you a different blog, okay? I run a lot of different blogs. So, here's one of my WordPress blogs. The title is XX Factor. The address is xxfactor.wordpress.com. Here's the search window for searching old posts. You can also see there are pages here, such as I have a page called the older stereotype, which is a page. I have something called the XX FAQs, which are frequently asked questions about the XX Factor blog. What is XX Factor, so on and so forth. I'm going to click on this and come back to the main blog. And let me do one thing. Click on any one of the posts. Okay. So here's a post. I'm going to click on this. Every post has certain things unique to it. Now, the first thing, notice the address. The address has changed now. Let me go back so you can see the change. The blog's address was xxfactor.wordpress.com. Now, watch what happens there when I click on the blog post. It becomes xxfactor.wordpress.com/2017/02/01. That's the date on which it was published, slash the doomed relationships of India, which is the topic, the subject line of the blog post. So every blog post has its own subject line, and that subject line also gives it its own unique address. So let's say you really, really like this particular blog post and you want to share it. You will share this address and not just xxfactor.wordpress.com, right? And this gets assigned to your blog post by the provider itself. So WordPress will do it on its own. All you need to do is type in the title and the body of the post. In this case, WordPress will give your blog post a unique address of its own. So will Tumblr. All the blogs will do that. So let's open one of the blogs. Here's one. ideasmithy.tumblr.com/post/this. So the different platforms have different formats. Tumblr takes the URL of the blog, the address of the blog, /post/a number/ the title of the post. Whereas WordPress takes the address of the blog slash the date of the publishing slash the title of the blog post. The platforms will do that on their own. That's also me, by the way. What else is there? So there's the post address, there's the post title. Within the post, there's a bunch of things you can do. Remember, I showed you can do all this in Tumblr itself. So I'm going to close this. Let's say I put in text over here. Here's the title. Here I put in text. Let's say I want to include a picture. There's this little plus symbol here. If you use Tumblr or Medium and Tumblr are completely free. So is Blogspot. WordPress has a free version and it has a paid version. The free version will mean that the URL will be something.wordpress.com. The paid version allows you to put your own URL. Okay, everyone, can I please request you to hold the questions till the end? Please, because then the rest of the class is missing out on things that I have to show. So, Yashna, I think you're having trouble connecting. Would you like to call tech support? I think you'll miss out on a lot this way. So this plus symbol over here allows me to add each of these. I can add a picture, I can add a video, I can add a GIF, any of these. So let's say I add a picture from here. So right here, there's a picture. I'm just going to save this. I'm not going to publish this. Okay. If I had hit publish instead, it would have appeared right away on my, okay, I shouldn't keep closing that blog. It would have appeared right away on ideasmithy.tumblr.com. Are we clear on that? So creating content for your blog is the only thing you should worry about. How it gets displayed and published, the blog will do all that worrying for you. So you can create content like this very, very easily using completely free tools. So this blog post includes an image and it also includes some text. If you scroll down further, let's go back to the XX Factor blog post. Here's the address and the title of the post. There's some text which I've formatted. So this word Dil Toot is in italics. This bit has been formatted in a different font. WordPress gives you additional formatting options. These are some of the benefits that WordPress has. When you're getting started, I don't think you need to worry about so many features. You can actually insert links. Like I've mentioned a book called Blink, and I've also linked it to the Wikipedia page of that book. So when my reader clicks on it, they'll get taken there. I've included a picture. I've included a line and further links to my Facebook page. Right? Under this, there's also a comment section, and someone has already left a comment. My readers will see this. They'll see the past comments. They will also have a chance to put in their own comments. And then post comment. Clear? All blogs have this feature. My Tumblr blog also has this. Let's say I go to that Tumblr post and someone wants to say, hey, great picture, Ramya. They can leave a comment. Oops, okay. The comment section is not visible on this blog. Okay, there's some problem with my Tumblr, which I'll need to look into. The comment section is not visible. Okay, I'm going to skip over that right now because Tumblr, this has to do with the settings. You can disable comments on your blog, but, and this is a mistake on my part, you ideally don't want to do that because blogs are more welcoming if you, no, that's, even if I'm the author, it should still allow me to see the comments. WordPress is allowing me to see it. So it should allow me also to leave comments. There's some problem in my settings. I've messed up something. You can later on when you're creating it, you can look at your own settings in here. I think I've gone and turned off comments by mistake. My suggestion, that's a mistake on my part. My suggestion is please don't do that because when you have comments enabled, you're welcoming people to share their own opinions. How will you get comments unless you give people an option to comment, right? So you can see my XX Factor blog has comments on it. One comment. If I go back to the main blog, at the base of each post, you can see how many comments. This one has one comment. Scarlet Woman has one comment. Poem for the Ex has 0 comments. Trials of a Girl Who Reads has 5 comments, and so on. Blogs give you a chance to give your readers an opportunity to share. Sharing is a major part of how blogs work. Before there were Facebook and Twitter, we used to call it link love. So link love basically meant I will link your blog to my blog. In return, you also link my blog to yours. So in my sidebar of my blog, I'll say these are the blogs I really like. So I'm recommending your blog. In return, you recommend my blog. Otherwise, how will people, we are publicizing each other. How will people know how to reach your blog or mine then? It's gotten a lot easier because of platforms like Facebook and Twitter. So it's a good idea to give your readers a chance to share. If I click on this, the reader, it'll open up their Facebook window. No, nothing as complicated or technical as that. It just opens up the reader's Facebook and gives them a chance to share this. All of you are on Facebook, right? Is there anyone who's not on Facebook? Okay. Everyone who's on Facebook, you recognize this, right? You see links shared by other people. Now, typically when you have to share a link, you have to copy paste this entire URL and then go into Facebook, post an update and paste that URL. This makes it much easier. You just click on this and the URL is already appeared and you just type this up here saying, I read this and really liked it. Book lovers, you will enjoy. And then post to Facebook. Now, what happens when they post it to Facebook? Your blog is getting recommended by them and it's getting shared with the 20 other friends that they have. And maybe two of them will come back and read your blog, which means that you've gotten more readers in because you've given your readers an opportunity to share it on all these platforms. In case anyone is unfamiliar, this is Facebook, this is Twitter, this is LinkedIn, this is Google Plus, this is Pinterest, this is Tumblr, this is Reddit, which is a link sharing service, this is WordPress, this is email this blog post, this is print this blog post, and this is Pocket, which allows you to save content from the internet onto your app and read it later. So that's your sharing buttons. There are categories. Now, given that you can talk about pretty much anything online on your blog, don't you want to make it a little easier for your readers to find you? On my blog, on the Idea Smithy blog, I write about Mumbai, I write about the books I read, I write about events that I go to, I do fashion blogging, I write about digital business, so lots of different things. Now, I have readers who are only interested in fashion who don't want to read about books. And I have readers who are really, really interested in hearing about the digital business who don't want to who don't want to read my fiction. So for them, I have categories created. So the minute I write a blog post, I categorize it. I can create categories. I've created these categories called Diary of a Writer. My Soulmate is a book, which is basically book reviews, nostalgia, and pop culture. So if you're someone who likes reading about books, if you enjoy reading, then you can just click on this category and you will get to see all the posts on my blog which have been categorized My Soulmate is a book. So only the book reviews on my blog. All the categories are also listed out here. Let's say you're really interested in fashion. So style and beauty. And there are 149 posts on this. You can just go and follow just those posts. So categories make it easier for your reader to navigate your content. All these platforms allow you to create your own categories. Correction, sorry. Blogspot, Blogger, and WordPress allow you to create your categories. Medium and Tumblr don't let you make categories. But Medium and Tumblr allow you to do something called tagging. A tagging means that when you're writing a post, let's say top 10 SRK films, and I'm writing what I like about them. When I finish writing the blog post, I put in what are called tags, which make it easier for people to find my content. So I'm going to hashtag this Bollywood, Shah Rukh Khan, movies, cinema, film, and SRK, and maybe pop culture. Now, what does this do? Oops, sorry. It made all of them into one. So I have to hit enter after each one. Enter. Right? That's everything. Each of these becomes a tag. And when I publish this, people who are interested in reading about Bollywood can search for the tag Bollywood and they'll be shown all the Tumblr posts that are tagged as Bollywood. Now, this is not the same thing as a category. In a category, the reader gets to see only what you have created under that category. Whereas with the tags, the reader gets to see what everyone on Tumblr has said under that tag. So Medium and Tumblr Both give you only tagging options. WordPress and Blogspot or Blogger give you both tagging and categorizing options. Okay? Did we understand categories and tags? Yeah? So, Suresh, I'm not going to be able to give you a tutorial on each of these platforms. I've shared videos on these. You can watch those videos. I'd rather you focus on what these things mean because those are things that there's a lot of content available online that you can. No, all of them are for individual posts, but a tag allows the reader to search across the entire platform. So it's not just what I said about Bollywood, but what everyone on Tumblr said about Bollywood. Whereas a category lets you show just what your blog has about that particular category. Clear? It's exactly like Twitter tag. The hashtag comes from Twitter only. I have another video for you to watch.
You've seen the word, you've seen the websites, and you may even have one. But have you ever wondered, what's the big deal about blogs? This is Blogs in Plain English. To make sense of blogs, you have to think about the news and who makes it. We'll look at news in the 20th century versus the 21st century to make our point. In the 20th century, the news was produced professionally. When news happened, reporters wrote the stories and a tiny group of people decided what appeared in a newspaper or broadcast. Professional news was mainstream, general, and limited. The 21st century marked the point where news became both professional and personal. A new kind of website called a weblog, or blog for short, came onto the scene that let anyone be a reporter and publisher, often for free. As blogs became popular, they created millions of news sources that gave everyone an audience for their own version of news. Of course, we're using the word news loosely, but really, isn't everything news to someone? With a blog, a business owner can share news about his business. A mother can share news about her family, or a sports star can share news with fans. These people are all bloggers. How did this happen? Well, blogs made sharing news on the web easy. Anyone with an idea can start a new blog with the click of a button and share news minutes later. Here's how blogs work. Blogs are websites that are organized by blog posts. These are individual news stories, like articles in the paper. Bloggers simply fill out a form like this one to post a new story. With the click of a button, the blog post appears at the top of the web page, just above yesterday's news. Over time, the blog becomes a collection of these posts, all archived for easy reference. Also, each blog post can become a discussion through comments left by readers. Blogs make the news a two-way street. But really, the fuss is not about how blogs work. It's about what people like you do with them that matters. Let's say you have a blog about green living and outdoor photography. It reflects your unique perspective. This helps you build relationships with your readers and other bloggers with similar interests. Speaking of relationships, bloggers often work together. In addition to comments, you'll read each other's posts, quote each other, and link your blogs together. This creates communities of bloggers that inspire and motivate each other. Whether it's their ease of use or the opportunities they offer, blogs have been adopted in a very big way. Since 2003, there have been over 70 million blogs created, each with its own version of news. So the big deal about blogs is that they gave people like you the power of the media and created a personal kind of news that appeals to a high number of small audiences. So, it's up to you. What will you do with this new power? There is likely a group of people out there who want to hear what you have to say. You can search for blogs using Google's blog search or Technorati. You can also start your own blog for free at blogger or wordpress.com. I'm Leela Fever, and this has been Blogs in Plain English on the Common Craft Show.
Okay. I've also taken this time to answer some of the questions that all of you had on the chat window.
You've seen the word.
Sorry. Here's an example of a blog that went really, really big time. I've already told you about Julie Powell. That was a food blog. Gaping Void started as this person who liked to doodle. All of you know what doodles are, right? A doodle is just this little sketch that you make, not even a sketch. It's just this little thing that you play around with a pen on paper, maybe when you're on a phone call or not paying too much attention. So Gaping Void, or Hugh MacLeod, that's his name. Hugh MacLeod used to post these really nice looking doodles, which also explained certain ideas really, really well. And his blog became very, very popular because he used to write long blog posts and illustrate them with his own doodles. Now, Hugh MacLeod has become so popular that the Gaping Void is now a property, and some of his doodles then get turned into. So, Pramila, I'm just explaining that he created his own doodles, and today he's so successful that his doodles are now they now appear on mouse pads and as desktop wallpapers and things like that, and that's his business today. He also consults for companies on how to use his doodles are being used in order to break down important concepts in businesses. So that's Gaping Void. You can look these up. Another one is this blog called Mashable. Mashable is a very, very popular and successful technology publisher today. They started off as a blog as well. So Mashable did product reviews, insights, news about new products and new gadgets that were coming about. Mashable is very, very successful. It's considered one of the major reference points in the technology and gadget sector today. Now, this is an example of an individual becoming a celebrity. This gentleman his name is Mario Armando Lavandera Jr., but the internet better knows him as Perez Hilton. Perez Hilton is one of the most popular and successful gossip bloggers in the world. He is so powerful and so influential that a lot of celebrities are actually scared of him because of what he might write about them. He has been known to make and break reputations. And he started as a blogger. He did not start as a film journalist or any of those things. He started as a celebrity gossip blogger. He has even been referenced in a very popular song by one of the pop stars. I think it was either Taylor Swift or one of those people. So, one of their songs, they've actually mentioned Paris Hilton. He posts some very controversial opinions. So, lot of readers as a result of this, which means he's very, very influential. So, that's again a success story. Paris Hilton has come up in the last 10 years. So, something that's common to all of these, I've talked to you about several different platforms. Very quickly, before we get into this, I'm also going to jump into Instagram. I told you Instagram lets you post pictures. Now, for example, take this picture. This is a picture of roses that I'm growing. And my caption, so all I've done is put up the picture, and the caption says, "In my window today." And I have hashtagged it with all these. So, if someone clicks on flowers, see, there are 76 million posts about flowers, which have been hashtagged flowers on Instagram. Only one of them was mine. I hope it's clearer what tagging means. Now, Instagram doesn't allow me to create categories, and neither does Tumblr or Medium. Yeah? Instagram is pictorial blogging. So, what is common to all these platforms? What's common is that all of them are about original good content. The tools are there. The platform can give you the tools to take your content out and showcase it well, but your readership will come only if your content is really, really good. It doesn't matter how fancy the frame is. What's important is what the picture looks like. uh, are we ready to give feedback? I am required to ask you to leave feedback on the session. I still have some time to go and some things to tell you about. Okay, I'm going to share this link with you. Please take a minute and leave feedback on how you're finding this session, and come back and tell me when you're done, and I'll resume. I think you'll need to sign in with your LMS details. Here's the link. Thank you. Let's give the others a chance to finish also. Okay, sure, Nidhi. I may answer it now, or I might finish the session and then answer it if that's okay. I actually don't have a website, I only have blogs. I have a presence on most of the popular platforms. So, Twitter handle, multiple blogs, and a YouTube channel and Instagram handle. I didn't. I haven't felt the need to. I've been told by a lot of people I should, but I haven't really felt the need to. Okay. Is that everyone? Am I waiting on anyone? Should I continue? Okay. So I'll address that question in the end. That's my reasoning, Shelley. I will at the end. Okay. So if that's everyone, shall I go ahead? I'll address your questions also at the end. Okay. All right, Satya. Satya needs to leave. Thank you for attending. Bye, Satya. But the others, please don't leave yet. The session is still going on. Okay. So, well, blogs. One thing that's really common to every platform is that you need to be interesting. By the way, I think Pramila, you filled in the form. There's some problem with it. It's only showing your name, by the way. So maybe you can go ahead and do the feedback again later after the session is over, if I can request you to do that. And Ashish, again, it only said ABC, by the way. So I don't know whether the platform, there's some problem with the site. Maybe if I can request both of you to fill in the form again at the end. But for now, stay. You'll miss this otherwise. So, how do you make your content interesting? Now, this is something that, well, ideally, don't worry about it when you're starting to create. First, think about what it is you want to say. But once you create your content, that is, you take your picture or you start writing your post, keep some things in mind. What keeps your readers interested? Being personalized, personal content always draws in readers. Remember what I said about how I started? This is still true. And this is true of all the blogs that I follow. All the really, really good top blogs are all blogs that post very personal sounding content. Don't worry about trying to sound like a professional journalist or like a magazine. You're not supposed to sound like that. By this, I don't mean that use bad language or don't pay attention to grammar. Definitely pay attention to grammar. Use your words, spell check, and your proofreading software. Check your language and grammar, but make it really, really personal. Don't make it sound like just data and facts. When you're putting up an opinion, if you're saying top 10 SRK movies, don't talk about the data collections or the money collections at the box office. Talk about what is top 10 for you. Why was Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge a better film than Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, if that's what you're saying? What is so great about Chak De India that makes it a much better film than some other sports film? Make it personal, make it very about yourself, make it very human, make it emotional even, because this is interesting to people. Anything that is insightful also is interesting to people. And by this I don't mean do gyan batna. Everyone knows what is gyan batna, right? None of us like to read gyan. But if you were to share, how many of you remember Times of India's speaking tree column? Any of you remember that? Yeah. So I was a really big fan of that speaking tree column, because speaking tree was just it was, well, you could probably categorize it as philosophy, but it was very everyday philosophy. The examples, the things that the writer used to talk about were very, I don't read it anymore, there's too much to read online now. But speaking tree has usually been very everyday people. It would be things like, I had a conversation with my mother the other day and she said this and it made me think this. Now when you read that, it's entertaining, it also, you can relate to it, and it gives you some kind of an insight for your day, right? That's why so many of us read it. So see if you can do that with your blog. Those kind of blogs also do really really well. Quirky blogs always catch attention. BuzzFeed's early blog posts were very, very quirky. I think you know what I mean by quirky, right? Keep it funny and a little, not weird, but a little wacky, a little crazy. So BuzzFeed, Huffington Post, Scoop Whoop, all of them put up posts which say things like, I remember reading one blog post on Scoop Whoop which said, if all the states of India entered a bar, then what would they be like? And it said, this state is the one that's ordering for everybody but walks away before paying the bill, and this state is sitting quietly in a corner and crying about its ex. This state is sitting and sipping lemon juice. So it was really funny and quirky. Blogs can also be informative. The video that you just saw, we can now agree, right, that news is not anymore just Arnab Goswami in a suit inside a studio. News can be very personal, very, very individual, as long as it informs people of something. So, city bloggers are bloggers who are disseminating information. There are a lot of health and fitness bloggers, and their blog posts usually give people a lot of information. There are food bloggers who also choose not to write reviews but talk about the nutrition content, things like that. That's informative. There are science blogs, there are politics blogs, there are economics blogs, finance blogs. All of these are very, very informative to readers as well. So, if you do have an expertise in some subject, consider sharing it via a blog. The difference between putting it up on a blog versus putting it up just as a website will be the language you use will be a lot more friendly and a lot more personal on a blog. On a blog, even if you're writing about personal finance, for example, now post demonetization India, how do you manage your taxes now? What are the tax implications in post demonetization India? Now, that could turn out to be a very dry kind of article that would appear in a very serious publication like Financial Times, or it could appear in a blog if you start off by saying something like, I know all of us have been groaning about demonetization, but here's what you have to keep in mind. We are already in February, and come March, we'll all be worrying about our taxes. So, here are some things that you need to keep in mind. So, March will be a lot easier for you. Now, that's the kind of language I want to see in a blog. And that's the kind of language that will really draw readers. And you're drawing them in with the language, but you're keeping them there because you're giving them some very useful information. So, again, I'd just like to share something with you. This was my attempt at doing something like that. Since I mentioned demonetization, right after the demonetization was announced, I put up a blog post called 9 Ways to Survive the Demonetization. So, this was a list, it contained a picture, it had information and useful tips. So, things like reduce cash spends on commuting, use trains and metros because they accept payment by card, things like that. So, I was trying to help my readers and also give them something interesting to read, something that they would want to share also because it was useful. No, it's not a chat. A chat is real time. A chat typically doesn't have one theme. A blog post has a specific topic. Each post has a topic, right? The post that I just showed you, this post is about a particular book, this book called Carrie. The post that I just showed you about demonetization is about a topic. Make sure you're accessible. And accessibility has to do with make sure your comment section is working, not like me, where I run a webinar and I discover that my comment section was not working. Make sure that your language is sounding very welcoming. You sound like someone who it's okay for the other person to talk to. Be pleasant. Don't try not to be too rude in your blog. And by this, I mean even in your comments when you're responding. One reality of the internet is that it's possible you might get trolled. A troll today, an internet troll, is someone who harasses people on the internet. There's no known reason why this happens. It's just, it's the internet, so it's easy for people to turn up anonymously and say mean things. Now, this is a reality of being online. The only consolation I can offer you is that if you get trolled, if a troll attacks you, then just assume that you are popular enough to attract a troll's attention. I know that's not a lot of consolation, but that's what we have to tell each other. Because trolls only go where there's a lot of visibility, because trolls are just people who want attention. They are not going to go and badger someone who's a nobody. They'll only go and try and harass the celebrities or people who are seeing some attention and visibility. So if you get a troll, my suggestion is just ignore them. If it's on your blog, you can just block them, you can just delete their comments. If it's on something like Instagram, you can report them to the platform, and if the platform also finds that they've been doing this, they will block them. But at all points of time, be pleasant. You don't need to go fighting with them, you don't need to waste your time on that. Try and be helpful if it's possible. So someone might show up on your blog, like someone might show up on my blog post about the demonetization and ask, can you explain to me how I can save taxes? Now, I am not a tax expert. What I would do to that is I'd reply to them saying, sorry, I'm not really a tax expert, but if you're in Bombay, I can recommend a CA who can answer this question for you. Now, that's me being helpful. Why do I need to do that? I'm not required to do that, but this person has come all the way to my blog and read my post, and they're looking for help. If I help them, then they will like me, and it's possible they'll come back and read my blog tomorrow, right? It's just about being likable. Think about what is it that you are saying on your blog. With every blog post, take a stand. Be very clear what you're saying. Don't be general. Well, be safe. I was going to say don't play it safe. Don't play it safe, but be safe. It would be stupid to say things like, I'm going to murder somebody. Now, that's going on your record, it's on the internet. But it's okay to have a strong opinion. Let's say that you have a strong opinion on politics. Politics is very, very big these days, right? Everyone has an opinion on the Indian government, on the US government. Take a stand. Because if you don't take a stand, if you just say, yeah, everything is fine, I'm sure every human being has their flaws, nobody is going to be interested in reading that. People are interested in reading strong opinions. I'm not saying those opinions always have to be negative. Even a positive opinion could catch attention. Now, the Trump government is getting a lot of flack. There's a lot of negative talk about the Trump government. So, if I were to write a blog post saying 5 things that you did not know, 5 reasons why the Trump government may actually be good news, how many of you would be interested in reading it? If you saw an article called Trump government is good news for Indians, and here's why. Right? Now that catches your attention because it's different from what other people are saying today. Now I don't have any such article and I don't have any opinion on this. This was just an example. So take a stand in your content, whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be about something as big as politics. If you're talking about food, take a strong opinion on it. This food is fantastic, it's magnificent, or it completely sucks. It's terrible. Don't eat it. Don't write about dal chawal unless you really have a passionate viewpoint about dal and chawal. If you do, that's great. But don't say, I ate dal chawal and it was okay, it's well, dal chawal. No, that's not interesting to anybody, right? Back it up with facts. One thing to keep in mind, this is the internet. Google is just a click away. So if you're taking a strong opinion, make sure you know that there will be people who will disagree with you. And if they disagree with you, they will want to prove you wrong. So don't get your facts wrong, especially if you're talking about things like politics and science. Very, very important. If your credibility gets destroyed because you posted the wrong facts, that will have a major impact on your blog's readership. If I have a science blog and or let's say a health and fitness blog, and I put up something and someone proves that what I've put up is actually bad for health, you can see why people will stop visiting my blog because I've lost credibility, right? So be very, very, very clear about your facts. It doesn't take a lot to do fact checking. Be very specific. Don't write in generalities. One thing I found really helps is use lots of examples, use illustrations where possible. If you have case studies, refer to links, popular other sources. If you're talking about something like demonetization, there's a lot of interesting stuff that's already been said. If you have your own opinion, put it up there and share links. Say that this is what the Times of India had to say, this is what renowned economic expert had to say, this is what the finance minister had to say. All of these will add to the authenticity of your content. Be personal, be individualistic, because readers respond to personal stories. When I say stories, I don't mean fiction. A story is an entire narrative, and the narrative may be a non-fictitious, a real life story as well. Like the Julie and Julia story, it's a story, but it actually happened. It's not fictitious. Some things to avoid: do not copy content. This is a big mistake. Copying content, firstly, is stupid because it's really, really easy for the person whose content was copied to find you. Secondly, it's illegal. You are violating copyright laws if you copy anyone's content. The way copyright law works is if you have created the content, it's yours. You do not need to register it. You do not need to put up a symbol. You do not need to put up any copyright logo, none of that. If you created it, it's yours. If someone comes and copies it from you, you can file a case on them for copyright violation. IPR violation. IPR stands for intellectual property right. So please do not copy anyone's content. It's also not enough to copy paste and say, I saw this was written by Ramya Pandyan. Let's say Ashish writes a really fantastic blog about food, and I show up there and I really like it, and I copy everything he's put up, and at the bottom I say, I saw this on Ashish's blog. How many of you think this is okay? How many of you think this is okay? It's not okay, right? Okay, none of you are saying yes. If any of you had said yes, I would have said that's like saying, let's say I walk past Ashish's house and exactly, it's not okay. Let's say I walked past Ashish's house and the door was open. And I walked in and I found this really, really nice chair, beautifully carved chair. I liked it a lot, so I just picked it up and brought it over to my house and I kept it there. And under the chair, I put a label saying I got it from Ashish's place. Is that okay, or is that, I know it sounds odd, right? It sounds weird, but that's exactly what people who are copying are doing. So copying content is as stupid as that. And guess what? Ashish will come back home and he'll find his chair is missing. He may not be able to tell it came to my place. But if I copy his blog post, he'll be able to find me really, really easily. There are free services that do that. There are paid services that can track it down. A simple Google search, if you're willing to pay enough time, if you're willing to put in enough effort, will also turn you up and show you who has copied from you. So sorry, Ashish, for using you as an example, But copying content is just a bad idea. Don't ramble pointlessly. Now, once, and this is something all bloggers and all writers are very tempted to do. You have a blank screen in front of you and there is no word limit. And you're very passionate about what you want to speak about. Let's say you're passionate about aloo paratha. I had aloo paratha for dinner, so I'm very passionate about it. I love aloo parathas. I think aloo parathas should be the national food of the world. Not national food, it should be the official food of the entire planet. Now, I can write all that down, but if I spend 30,000 words writing about it, you're going to get bored. None of you will read it. Nobody will read it. So don't ramble on pointlessly. Keep in mind that the reader at the other end has only a finite amount of brain space to give you. So get to the point, say what you need to say, and get to the point. Don't go on pointlessly. Don't ignore the length of the post. Some of you asked about the length. There is no word count limit on a typical text blog. I'd say something like 1000 to 1500 words to 1200 words, even, is quite adequate. You don't really need it to be longer than that. 1000 to 1200 words is as much as most people are able to read on a screen at one point of time before they get tired and move on to some other site. Even shorter than that, even better. Don't be careless about your media. Now, when you're uploading pictures, sometimes the picture will not load properly. Or you upload a picture and it might get stretched when you see it on the final blog. Make sure that once you publish a post, go and check the blog itself to see how it is showing. So let's say this is a picture. Now, if this had broken the sidebar, or if this had, see, this is bad formatting on my part. Can you see this? I was careless about this. Looks like I've also made a lot of the mistakes that I'm asking you not to make. All these equal to signs, this section separator is breaking the border and going on. So don't do this because it makes your content look very unprofessional. Not nice. It doesn't look very good. Don't forget to check the final blog. Go and look at how the post looks. Read before you publish. Write down your post, create your post, and read through it at least once. Correct any spelling mistakes, fact check everything, check all the links, make sure the pictures are loading properly, and then publish, and then go and read it one more time on the blog. Manage your comments well. Make sure you're responding to comments. Make sure that the comments section is working properly. Yes, it can be deleted. Absolutely. You can delete any of your posts also. So here's my Instagram. If I want to delete it, I think I can't really delete it from the desktop, but I can delete it using my phone. Similarly, if I go into my blog's dashboard, I can delete any of these posts. This is a schematic. This is a table, a rating table that I found on the internet. You can find the article here. This one rated all the major blogging platforms. So you can see over here, the WordPress has a free version. It also has a paid version. So this is the free WordPress. That's WordPress.com is the free version. WordPress.org is the paid one where hosting is not included. So WordPress.com, Blogger, Tumblr, Medium, all of these are free blogging platforms. Domain name is not included in this. All of these platforms, you will have to choose a domain name and it will be something .wordpress.com or .tumblr.com, .medium.com, and so on and so forth. Blogger is not mobile friendly. WordPress, Tumblr, and Medium are mobile friendly. There are lots of designs available for how you want the site to look. There are no plugins or extensions. Plugins and extensions are like additional apps for your blog. You only get those for the paid blogs. Ease of use has been rated 9 on 10 or 10 on 10 for the free ones. The least is a platform called Ghost. The most is Tumblr, which I've shown you. And there's also a rating system on what kind of blogs each platform is perfect for. These are just some recommendations in case any of you are completely new, you've never seen any blogs. These are some blogs that you could visit. There's BuzzFeed, there's Youth Ki Awaz, There's Brain Pickings if you like reading. There's Thought Catalog if you just like posts about life and pop culture. Berlin Art Parasites is really nice if you like poetry. These are some of my favorite blogs. This is not an all comprehensive list. If you want to keep up with the digital space, a list apart has some really nice articles. Copy Blogger has some really useful tips for bloggers. QZ, that's quartz.com, has news. Zomato is a food blog. It's one of the best blogs run by a company. Your Story is for entrepreneurs. And that brings me to the end of this session. Some of you asked for my